that have joined us. We're going to get ready here in 2 seconds. We have our illustrious guest, Liz Abuna, and it's Abuna, correct?
Abuno.
Okay, so I'm glad you corrected me on that one. Let's pull up our presentation here so folks can come in and see what we're talking about. There we go. We got some folks coming in. Awesome. We'll let people trickle in. I know some people are in different time zones. We will get started here shortly, folks. We're going to let a couple people trickle in because I know people are all over the place in the world. And we'll get started in a couple minutes. All right, well, without further ado, thank everybody for being on the program. I will continue to monitor to see as folks trickle in and see who we have added to the conversation. But super excited to have our first live virtual event for the Rethink Small Business community. As I said on the invitation, we are live streaming, which is really crazy because it's the first time I've done this, to Facebook as well as YouTube and Periscope. As well as Zoom, obviously. So really excited to extend and have this program be able to be available to a lot of people as we officially launch the platform. So thank you for joining us. We're going to go through a little bit explanation of what the community is and share kind of the impetus behind creating the community. And then we will go into a really, really exciting guest that we're going to talk about her experience as a small business owner and her journey to what I call the pivot, which a lot of folks are talking about. And I think that a lot of you will find that really exciting. So again, super excited to have everybody on the call. So let's kind of run through tonight's agenda or tonight's event. I'm going to do a little bit of intro myself. My name is Jeff Davis for all those that do not know me. We're going to talk about the big purpose behind the Rethink Small Business community and really why I created it. We'll also go through some of the membership benefits and the things that you, if you choose to join us and become a member of the Rethink Small Business, that you'll be able to gain. As I said before, we'll have this amazing conversation with Liz, and she'll talk about being the owner of 40 Acre Fresh Market, kind of why she started, what her passion is, what drove her to begin the business, and then again, her pivot story that I think a lot of you will find, especially as e-commerce becomes more and more important. And then we'll go through and talk about a special offer that all of you will be able to get access to by virtue that you are here on the live launch event. So super excited about this. Let's go into it. And what we'll do is after we get through Liz's conversation, we'll take a couple questions, a couple Q&A, just in case folks out there have questions for her and want to really soak up her knowledge while we have her live, which is tough to do because she's busy. So I appreciate her taking the time, but we'll give folks a little bit of time to do Q&A and then get some answers from her. So if you joined us there, you as a small business owner have been having some challenges. We all know that we've all gone through COVID and just a number of different things that are going on right now. And so, if you were sitting back and you are thinking, how can I use social media to get customers? If you're thinking about how do I create a brand that gets people attention? How can I help people see how I'm different from my competitors? Any of these questions that you see, you are definitely in the right place. I built this community specifically for folks like you, like me, because I'm in this very same group. in that as a small business owner, I recognized that there was an opportunity for me to do better. I wanted to step back and use COVID and this disruptive time as a period to really kind of rethink and transform the way I did business. And instead of just focusing on trying to, survive only, I said, let's use this time where things are not as busy as they were to not come out of this the same person, not come out of this the same type of business, and really be thoughtful about that. So I say all that to say, if any of those questions have crossed your mind, and if they are still across your mind, you are definitely in the right place. This is the place where you belong. It's the community that I think that's exactly for you. And throughout our time tonight, I'll be talking through a little bit more so that you can really be able to assess whether or not we are fit for you. But I think based on that, and based on the fact that you've taken the time to join us, I think you probably are fit. So to go a little bit deeper into why I created it, I was having conversations with a couple of people. So as many of you may or may not know, I stereotypically am working with larger organizations, so mid-market to enterprise, on helping them optimize their revenue. And so that's a lot of me taking time to help them align sales and marketing strategically. And so what I recognized is that as we went through this whole COVID thing where everything, the world stopped, I said, a lot of the things that I taught my clients, or that I worked with on my clients, which are large organizations, aren't necessarily exactly applicable to a small business owner. The theories and the ideas are the same, but they look differently. And then I also reflected back on the time that I had done work for the SBA, or the Small Business Association, as well as SCORE Chicago. And every time I had given a workshop or worked with small business owners, they really, really resonated with this idea of a small business revenue engine. And that is putting your marketing and sales together and making everything work as one single process. Because what we do is we get so in the minutia of doing everything that when we don't have systems, we don't have processes that can actually produce customers for us while we're working, it becomes really, really a challenge to try to, sell your product, do the marketing, actually, do the product or service, then realize, you need more customers. And so you're all over the place at the same time. And so what I told them is that I said, you got to step back and create a sales process that includes marketing, that really puts you in a position so that this thing can pretty much run itself, so that you're not always trying to hustle to get customers. And it really resonated. And so when I reflected on what we're going through now, I was like, I'm going through the same thing. But I said, I don't necessarily want to go to a conference or, talk to a guru. I said, the moments that I learned the most as a small business owner, or the moments that that aha moment happened, we're talking to other small business owners. We're talking to entrepreneurs that had been through it, that were going through it, or, even sitting down and having coffee of oh yeah, I've been thinking about these 3 different CRMs. What do you think? And either they had used one, or they said, I'm thinking about the same thing. Here's what I'm thinking. Those were what I would consider the magical moments. And I said, that is more important, that engagement of talking to people and working things through, than spending money on the conference that I may or may not get value out of, and that I may come out of and maybe not do anything. So Rethink Small Business was really born out of the fact that I wanted a place where small business owners that were really focused on growing their business, realizing that they had to transform their business in a digital to be digitally first, and really expand the way they thought about stuff, could get together, learn from each other, provide value with each other through conversations, through connections, all of that sort of thing, and really be able to take it to the next level. And so that was really why I built this community and why I am so passionate about this community. So if you look at the big purpose, just to give you an idea of why we exist, this is it, right? Rethink Small Business, the Rethink Small Business community, connects small business owners with the tools, resources, conversations, and connections necessary to grow their business in the digital economy. Super simple. That's what we're here for. That is our big overall purpose. And if that connects with you, if that is something that you need, want, desire, then again, I think you'll find benefit here with us. Some of the key benefits of being members of the community: member engagement. Again, this is not a repository of data. I thought about, should we open up a Facebook group? Should we put this on social media? And really, those platforms were not capturing what I wanted to do. I actually took this off of social media so that we could focus on engaging with each other, really having real connections in a safe environment with folks that were like-minded, having exchanges like we're having today that are live, but that can really remove all the noise of what's going on around the world and society and on social media, where you can come somewhere and you can focus with other people that are focused like you. That's what this is about. And so I think first and foremost, engagement from other like-minded people is our number one benefit. Secondly, we have a structured approach to learning and doing. So we're not just throwing a bunch of stuff up and saying like, hey, today we're going to talk about this. There's actually structure to the way that we go about doing this so that you're able to actually build a revenue engine for your business. That's the ultimate goal and ultimate transformation. That includes, a digital transformation for your business, marketing strategy, sales strategy, all in one. And so what we do is we do that in monthly themes. So you see here in August, we're going to be talking about branding. In September, we're going to be talking about positioning you, your business, your product. And then in October, we'll be talking about putting together a sales funnel. And so we have, multiple months of content. And while we have a structured approach to what we're doing, we're also open to what the community says. So if they say, hey, Jeff, we all really need to talk about social media marketing or social media strategy. Well, then we'll do a whole month on social media. But keep in mind that we're going to all be focused on in that month talking about social media only so that we can focus. Because one of the things that we all know as small business owners, it is easy to get distracted with what's going on. And then within that monthly theme, we'll do weekly subtopics that have a challenge. And at the end of the week, you can be assured that you'll have something tangible that you can add to your toolkit. And then speaking of which, last but not least, templates and tools. So we'll not only be providing you with these monthly themes, but we'll also be giving you templates and tools that you can actually use in order so that you don't have to start from scratch. And we also encourage you, if you as a small business owner have found things that works for you, that you have found success with, to add those into the community so that we can all share and benefit from those. But those are the overarching benefits that we feel that are going to be really, really powerful or really, really valuable to our members in the community. In addition to that, we are trying to help you achieve really 3 big overarching goals so that at the end of the day, these are the things you'll be able to do by being a member. And that's 1, expanding awareness of your business. We know now than ever before, it's more important than ever before, I should say, that if you don't have a brand, if people don't know who you are across all social media, across everything, it is going to be really hard for you to sell your product or service, no matter how good you are. So it's important that you really understand from a fundamental standpoint of how do you get visibility for your product or service or your business. We're also going to talk about the bottom left you see here, developing a sales process that produces new customers faster and with less effort. Again, important to have a sales process. Many of us struggle with not having a really cohesive way of which we get customers. And then sometimes when we get them, we're overwhelmed because we're trying to actually deliver services, but we forget about the fact that we actually still got to get more customers when these are done. And it just turns into this vicious cycle. So we're going to hopefully kind of stop the craziness and help you start to build out a cohesive sales process that you can put into place. And then thirdly, we want to help you monetize your unique skills, knowledge, and experience. So we want to think more broadly about what we can offer in order to get revenue into the business. And while your core product or service is important, we want to also make sure we expand your thinking around how else can you monetize what you uniquely have, whether that be through workshops, through speaking, all those other things that are tangential to your core product or service, but you may or may not have thought about. And then not only are we going to help you think about those, but we're also going to talk about and think through what makes the most sense for you and how do you actually do that in a way that's not disruptive to your core business. So with that said, I want to welcome on our guest for tonight, as she's like doing 10,000 things at once, it looks like. So Liz and I, just to give a little backstory, and I don't want to steal her thunder because I want her to tell her story because it's all about her story because she has a really unique story. We actually met in business school not so long ago, so we won't age ourselves. But she started an amazing business here in Chicago that I have been following for quite some time because I felt really drawn to her mission of why she built the business. We're obviously going to get into her pivot because of COVID and how she went to e-commerce. But before we do that, I'm going to give her a chance to kind of introduce herself and tell us a little bit about the business so we have some context.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Abuno, and I am the owner and operator of 40 Acres Fresh Market. 40 Acres is a grocery startup here in Chicago, and we operate a little bit differently than typical grocery stores because we are focused in communities that are underserved by affordable grocery retail. So what does that mean? you have likely heard the term food desert, which I absolutely hate because I think it is a benign term that says that this just kind of happens. Sometimes neighborhoods don't have access to affordable fresh food, and it doesn't just happen. It's by design, and it takes a lot of neglect. It takes a lot of ignoring. It takes a lot of the vestiges of institutional racist policies to create what we see in Chicago when it comes to food inequality. And so I started 40 Acres because I didn't like what I saw. And I felt that there was a way to do profitable grocery retail in neighborhoods that a lot of the big players had long written off and said, we can't make money here. So because I did not know what I was doing, I started with pop-up markets because it's it was a really low investment, flexible way to just get a minimum viable product out to the market to see, hey, what's the demand for affordable fresh food in this neighborhood? What does it look like to get suppliers? What does it look like to get customers? What does it look like to build a brand? Um, and I wanted to do it as inexpensively and as nimbly as possible. Since our first pop-up market on January 20th of 2018, that was run by me and 4 volunteer friends. 40 Acres has now grown to 4 employees with 4 general contractors as well. So I have a staff of 8 people.
Congrats.
We run pop-up markets as well as delivery service. We supply both residential as well as, I'm thinking, B2B customers.
Okay.
And we are very quickly on the path of doing our ultimate goal, the goal that we've had from day one, which is opening a permanent brick and mortar store
Yep.
in the Austin community in Chicago.
So before we get to the e-commerce piece, I want to kind of do a double click on someone like you. So what do you think that you've learned from just an overall marketing standpoint about like up to date, like as a small business owner, what have you learned? Because you talk about the fact that like you had no idea what you're going into and what you were doing, which is fun, which is amazing because you've achieved some great things. What would you say that was your biggest lesson from a marketing standpoint, just getting out there?
Well, I think that there's different kinds of marketing. I think marketing is always going to cost you, whether it costs you money or it costs you time.
Yep.
Marketing is a huge expense when you're starting something from scratch. Whether you're running some type of business where you are the product and your services are, and you have to meet people and you have to network and or you have to do a lot of pitch meetings, or you have to send out a lot of proposals. That's all a type of marketing. Or whether it's you're creating an online presence so that people actually think of you as an expert. Blogging takes time. I have started and quit many a blog because
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work thinking of what to write. I mean, we have 40 Acres it used to be a weekly newsletter. It's supposed to be bi-weekly. It kind of comes out whenever it comes out now. But every newsletter, there's a section that's like a letter from Liz. And let me tell you, it's 250 to 400 words, but it takes me forever to write. Like, how do I want to start it? What do I want to talk about? All of these things take time. So for a marketing perspective, I didn't realize how expensive marketing is and how many people you have to expose to your marketing and how often you have to expose them to it in order just to yield one customer.
Yeah.
So that was like the biggest lesson I learned. Initially, I was doing, like I said, I was doing pop-up markets. So everybody was like, oh, you just put flyers places. So I would just go wherever and give out flyers. And that really didn't do anything because
there was no ROI in that.
There was no ROI. I remember we did a test retail market for a month. And prior to the test market, we sent out every door direct mail pieces through the U.S. Postal Service. Spent probably like $800 to $1,000 to canvass a half-mile radius. And we would have customers coming from literally down the street and telling me, I'm like, oh, you got our flyer. No, I didn't. No, I know you got this in the mail. And what I realized is happening is that people they looked at it as junk mail. If you don't know
And
what
they
you're
just,
looking
right,
at, if you don't know the brand, even with a coupon on it, you just throw it away. You're like, I don't know what this is. This is
right.
whatever. I'm throwing it away. So
Because when they saw it, there was not in their mind an established brand to care
there was
about.
nothing to care about. There
Right.
was whether our messaging was off. And the thing is, our messaging, it took a long time to hone the messaging. Like, was our messaging about, hey, there's fresh, affordable food in your neighborhood? Was the messaging more of a social justice message about
Right.
equity, and or was it more about like an economic development about message about like, hey, if we bring a grocery store here, that's jobs, that's like increasing your property value? Because all
Because there's a bunch of different ways to go.
there's a bunch of different ways to go, because what 40 Acres Fresh Market has the potential to do is so big
Right.
that there were so many different ways we could advertise to people. And we still honestly haven't quite settled on one consistent message. But I mean, it just depends on who we're talking to, I guess,
Yeah.
because there's different audiences within the community that we want to reach who will respond to different things. Some people are just like, look, if you're a more convenient option and I can get a fresh, affordable food and it's cheap, great. That's all I really care about.
Boom. I'm good. Right.
I'm good. There's other people who are like, I want to shop with Black owned businesses. I want businesses that care about the community. So you have to put that messaging in out there.
Okay.
You know, it took a long time to figure out why someone should care. There was a person, I sat down with a local pastor because they were part of our strategy, like community outreach, like go to the
Uh-huh.
influencers, go to the people in the community who hold sway, who people will listen to.
Right.
And it took a long time to gain their trust because they really weren't trying to hear me. They were like, that's nice what you're doing. That's nice. That's cool. But like, they have a whole lot of people who understand their position and want to use it to further their project.
So they
So I
didn't really
get it.
take you seriously.
They didn't take me seriously until 40 Acres started getting some funding and money. And then they're like, oh, I remember you.
Oh.
Okay. Cool. Do you want to come and speak at my church? Like, yes, I'd like to come and speak at your
Yeah.
church.
Because I asked you about a month ago.
I asked you like, no, I like 6 months ago, like a year ago, but thanks for finally realizing that I'm here.
Right.
But no, it's I remember sitting down with one of them and he was like, your flyer looks slick and glossy. It's pretty, like, it looks very professional. He's like, but I don't know why I should come. He's like, if I want to get groceries, I'll just like, okay, fine. I don't get them in my neighborhood, but I'll just head over to Oak Park or I'll head over to River Forest and go get them. And that's fine. He's like, for
Okay.
me, telling me you have groceries in my neighborhood isn't moving me. So
It doesn't resonate with me.
It doesn't resonate. So we started a campaign like Austin needs a grocery store. Help us bring a grocery store to Austin. Like
Okay.
all of a sudden that started clicking in people's heads. Like, yeah, this neighborhood needs a grocery store. So if I go to this pop-up market, I
This
can
will
help them.
support us.
This will
building.
put us on the path to
Okay.
the grocery
So
store.
it's almost like you created this overarching like mission or goal to get people bought into the big idea.
Exactly. And that's what we had to do. But it took time to learn. It took listening to people to hear, like, to be like, how long ago did you hear about us? Oh, I've known about y'all for how long? I've never seen you at a market. Why aren't you at a market?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's good what you're doing. I just don't think it applies to me. And so what I found was like listening to the people who I wanted to be my customer, but weren't my customer, was so much more effective than listening to the people that were my customer.
Okay. I need you to say that again. This is a tweetable moment, people. Tweetable moment. I'm pushing this because like I tell people this all the time and whatever. Okay. So I'm sorry.
I found it more effective to listen to the people who I wanted to be my customer, but were not my customer, more so than listening to the people who were my customers.
Love it. Love it. Because one of the things I found, I used to run workshops around like building a small business revenue engine. And one of the things I always harped on was positioning. Because stereotypically, and we obviously MBAs talk about positioning all the time, but like even a lot of businesses that are established don't always do this very well. And I would always get, well, my product or service is for everybody. which is a marketer, like I just want to fall dead because like that's just that's just not good. It sounds like you started out with a good idea of your niche because you picked a area in Chicago. You weren't like all over the city. How did you, but I mean, how did you think about positioning and like who the target customer is? It sounds like you had a good place to start, but it still took work. How did you think that through in the beginning, at least?
Yeah, because initially I was like, okay, this is a store and it's going to be for this neighborhood. I think one of the things I did not understand about the type of neighborhood that Austin is,
Yep.
and many neighborhoods like Austin, Austin is considered a very low income neighborhood. If you just look at the median income on paper, right?
Yep.
I think it's like under 25,000. But if you look at the size of the neighborhood, the community area is over 90,000 people, making it the second largest population wise in Chicago.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was that big.
It's that big. And then
Okay.
land wise, it's the second largest land wise. It's 7.5 square miles. Like if
Oh,
you live
okay.
in Chicago, then you know it goes all the way from Roosevelt
All the
all
way
the
out
way
to Oak
north.
Park, to Harlem.
So wait,
I
so
mean, not how
Roosevelt,
Austin.
well, that's if you're going east west. So it goes all the way from the, I think like Kilbourne at the railroad tracks
Oh,
all the way to Austin Boulevard on the South Austin side, but in North Austin,
yeah.
it goes all the way to Harlem. So that's
Okay. Big.
even further west. But then it goes from Roosevelt Road all the way north to past Grand, like to another railroad track.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you're talking Roosevelt all the way up to Chicago Avenue, past Chicago Avenue to Division. You're
Okay.
still in Austin, North Avenue. You're still in Austin.
So it's big.
Wabansia, you're still in Austin. It is huge. This neighborhood is huge. So I was like, I'm marketing to the Austin community. And one of the people I spoke to in Austin when I first came in, was trying to get the lay of the land, was like, you can't ask what the community wants. He's like, this community is super diverse. And one of the things that people don't give our neighborhoods and our communities credit for is the diversity within. There's a lot of economic diversity within neighborhoods that people consider quote unquote low income. Because when you look at the median income, you're like, oh, they're all poor. But when
Right.
you look at the spread, you'll notice that there's like anywhere from 20 to 30% of a neighborhood that's making 50K a year or more. That's middle class. That's a middle class customer.
Right. So it's
That's a
different. So then did you have to do or have you done like a deeper segmentation within the community?
That's what I started doing because what I
Okay.
realized is that while I was focusing on food access, which is super, super important at all income levels because it affects, you can have means and still be underserved where you live.
Okay.
And so it wasn't about like, oh, people can't afford food. I got off that train really, really quickly and realized that my customer, the person who was going to keep my business afloat, was was the neighborhood's more middle class to even up like slightly affluent
Okay.
customer who was simply leaving the neighborhood for all the goods and services they wanted.
Instead of staying in the neighborhood.
Exactly. So they would live there, but they would shop elsewhere. So one of the things I looked at was the leakage. And a lot of our neighborhoods have a huge retail leakage. So while we're told that we can't afford nice things in our neighborhood, like, oh, our business can't survive here, there's not enough money here, but then you look and there's like tens to hundreds of millions of dollars every year that flow out of our neighborhoods into more affluent, typically predominantly white areas
Yep.
for those same goods and services they tell us we can't have in our neighborhood.
Okay. I got you. So COVID hits and tell us kind of where you were mentally, spiritually, like, because I know you were on the cusp of actually buying a building, right? From what I think we talked about.
Yeah,
Walk
so
through that.
we were we were looking at land to buy. So actually, where I was very adamant that I wanted to be on a very specific corridor within the neighborhood.
Okay.
And on that corridor, there were no buildings that I was seeing that were for rent that were good. And if to get them where I needed them to be to rent them out and still not be exactly what I wanted, it would cost too much money on a monthly basis for me to be paying in rent.
Yep.
So then I was like, okay, are there any buildings I can buy? Nothing really works. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to buy land and we're going to build from the ground
Actually
up.
build.
And
Yep.
we were working through that process. We had talked to a property owner about potentially doing a land lease deal, like leasing the land, owning the building, which is way too complicated, and just kind of talking to like development consultants about like, how do I go about doing this? We're running down that path and like, okay, let's see if we can get more money and all that stuff. And then COVID hits. And so when COVID hit, we were still primarily a market driven company. We had a delivery service, but it was very seldomly used by our customer. Most of our customers who were using our delivery service were B2B customers, and those customers never ordered online. They always just hit my line and like, I need a case of this. They would text me
just
their
call you.
orders. They would call or text me their orders. And at the time it was fine because it was enough where I could manage it and then communicate out to my team, hey, we need this, that, and the third.
Right.
That was our primary delivery customer. I remember it very clearly. We were doing a monthly weekend market series. So the second weekend of every month, we would do a weekend long pop-up market in the Austin neighborhood. We would transform a neighborhood space, same space every month, same weekend every month, same hours, to like really set up a presence on a consistent presence. And we would change it into a full selection produce market, open it up, we would advertise, people come in, shop. It's going to be great. And at that time, we had started doing like a lot of different marketing that we wanted to see, like, okay, what's going to be the impact of this at the March market, which was supposed to run March 13th through the 15th. March 12th, something in me just said, something's happening with this COVID thing. Like there was only like one case in Chicago. Our caterer that was supposed to be there, one of the chefs that was supposed to be there doing food demonstration and selling meals, she's like, I can't come because that one case of COVID, the mother of the one case wound up at my church and I was in the same building with her. So now I have to quarantine. A lot of our customers are seniors. We're like, okay, do we cancel the market? Like nothing's shut down. Like,
but something feels like it's about to shift.
Something just feels like it's about to shift. Like personally at the time I was like, I don't even think this is a big deal. I think that like, this is like H1N1, like back when swine flu, avian flu days where like you hear about it, but it never shut anything down. It's like, okay, whatever. But I said out of an abundance of caution and because I didn't want to have a market where no one was there, especially if the seniors weren't going to come, I was like, okay, let's just cancel it. So we'd already ordered all the food. I canceled all my orders for the food. The place was already set up, ready for inventory to come in. We just took everything down and put a sign on the door and said, hey, if you were going to come here, we're sorry. We're just being really cautious because of COVID. Go to our online website and order delivery. And for this whole weekend, we'll do free delivery. Like you don't have to pay a delivery fee. And so I think we got like, and we put that on our newsletter and our social media. And I think we got like 1 or 2 orders that first night. And I was like, okay, like
we can do this.
I was like, well, at the time I was like, we're not going to have any business because if our monthly markets are anchor market.
Right.
Okay, let's see if our produce stands continue this week. But then we were getting calls like, I think the produce stands that we're doing at all these other locations are shutting down too. I was like, I'm going to have to furlough our staff worker.
Right.
Like me and the general manager can work on like strategic stuff around getting the building and all this other stuff, but like I'm going to have to furlough him. There's nothing for him to do if there's no markets to prepare for.
Right.
But then me and my general manager had an idea that Friday and we said, you know, I keep hearing rumblings about people being like, people are losing jobs. I want to help. I was like, what if we did like a donation thing where we tell people like, if you buy produce, you can buy for someone else and we'll donate it on your behalf.
Okay.
A social media influencer picked that up. We put it on our Instagram. Some Chicago social media influencer picked it up. And all of a sudden, day one was 2 or 3 orders. The next day was 7 orders. The next day was like 10 orders. And we're like, what the hell is happening? We've never had this many orders in a day. We've never had this many. And my general manager is spending all day transcribing orders from our online platform, which really isn't a platform. It's a freaking Google form. It's a Google form. It's a pretty Google form,
Right.
but it
But
is a Google form. It
okay.
captures orders. There's no way for us to do online payments. Like it was, it was just a mad
So you were
scramble.
literally caught off guard. Literally
We were
caught off guard.
completely caught off guard. Like we thought that like I said, on March 12th and 13th, I thought COVID would shut down our business. By March 14th, I'm like, holy crap, we have more business. We're doing more in one day on delivery than we would normally at a market. What the
Right.
heck is this?
Which is a good problem to have.
It's a good problem to have. And then also it was coming from neighborhoods that we didn't expect.
Oh, really?
Yes. So we were getting orders in North Center, in Lincoln Park, Lakeview. I was like, how are you
So
guys?
this expanded your demographic all of a sudden overnight.
All of a sudden, overnight, I knew when I wound up in Beverly that something was up. Because first it was the influencer on Instagram who picked up the whole donate, the box donate thing.
Which proves the power of social media.
Yes. Second, what then started happening was as everything started shutting down, schools closed, everything closed, nobody wants to go out. It was also the time where grocery store shelves, people were like hoarding food.
Mm-hmm.
So people would go to the grocery store and there's no fresh produce. So what would happen is that people would go into like their community group. So the Beverly Moms group or the Oak Park Women's group.
Yep.
And they'd be like, how's anybody getting fresh produce? And somebody would be like, I ordered from 40 Acres Fresh Market. Here's the link. And it would spread like that. So without us doing anything, somebody who would know about us would share resources with other people in these social platforms where people trusted each other. So if my friend or my neighbor or if somebody just within this group of people, this online community tells me that this is a resource, I'm going to go use it as a resource.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, all of the work that we were doing on marketing, we didn't have to do because our customers were doing it for us.
So then you could divert. So, okay. So you have all these orders coming in, obviously you can now divert your attention from doing the hardcore marketing to basically like, we got to build out some kind of e-commerce presence. What did you do? Cause like, obviously at some point you're overwhelmed, right? You have too many orders coming in.
Yeah.
So do you hire somebody to do it? Do you learn how to do it yourself? Like, how did you transform your platform?
So what we did was we made it a lot. We put simplicity in because we didn't, at the time that COVID hit, we wanted to build an e-commerce platform that was better than the Google form that we had.
Okay.
But COVID hit and all of a sudden that's a project in and of itself. You have to oversee a tech project, like a website overhaul is something that it's a lot. Even if somebody else is doing the work, you have to oversee every step of that. I didn't have time for that. So one of the first things we did was initially you could order a la carte from a full selection of produce.
Okay.
Within a week and a half, 2 weeks, but I think by March 20th, we shut that down. And we only did pre-selected produce boxes where we choose for you.
Okay. So you, just for those that are listening, you actually said, it's too overwhelming to do a whole complete website overhaul with the way that we're doing kind of ordering single vegetables, fruits, etc. Mm-hmm. I'm going to kind of change my product offering to make it easier for me to be able to like basically facilitate what my customers needs. And so you then went to a boxed approach. So there was a product.
We already had boxes. We already had.
Okay.
We had started doing boxes. I had started doing boxes, I think in August of 2019. Simply because I would have inventory that I wanted to move and people weren't ordering it. They were ordering everything other than what I wanted them to order. So with a box, I was like, you just get what you get.
Right. And I'm getting rid of what I need to get rid of.
Exactly. So it was, for me, it was an inventory. It was inventory play. And so then we started subscriptions with the boxes in January.
Okay.
So we already had that going. I think at the time in January, we had like 7 subscribers. My downstairs neighbor being one of them because she's just cool.
Love it.
So we already had this product. And so we cut everything else and we were like, look, you can tell us what you don't want. You're not designing your own box. Tell us what you don't want, leave the rest up to us. And at first we thought that it would slow the orders down because if people couldn't choose, they wouldn't want it.
Yeah.
But it turned out that like people didn't care. They just wanted
They
fresh
just wanted
produce.
fresh produce. Yeah, they did.
Just wanted
Yeah.
fresh produce. As long as they could say like, hey, no broccoli, they didn't care if we were loading them down with like collard greens and okra. And the funny thing is that we were doing this across the city. So it wasn't just underserved neighborhoods like Austin or, Garfield or Auburn Gresham. It
Mm-hmm.
was initially it was some pretty affluent areas, like I said, Beverly, Oak Park, River Forest. So we were we were definitely stocking like middle class to affluent white families with like okra and collard greens and turnip greens, and like, here you go.
There you go. So now, did you, from a technical standpoint, did you keep that same Google form
Yeah, we're
with the
still
boxes? Okay.
it is
So
still a
you
Google,
didn't
it is still a Google form. I
so
had
you didn't
to,
do a whole like infrastructure change. You just said, let's use this interface and make it work for us.
yes. And so we put in really detailed directions to let people
Okay.
know here's how this works, which
Okay.
people refuse to read.
Well, of course.
So
I mean,
because people don't read.
right.
We made sure that there was like I set up the Google form so it could give like an automatic response.
Yep.
So when people submitted the form, it would say like, hey, thanks for ordering. Please read this carefully. And it was a little short. It's like, you're not going to pay right now. We're going to invoice you on the day of your delivery. We'll tell you when your delivery is coming. Just be patient with us, to cut down on the questions and the phone
Yeah.
calls. So kind of like we kind of anticipated customer friction and tried to like inform them and
Mitigated.
just over communicate ahead of time.
So what I love about this is that this is a great story for folks that say, like, I don't have the money to like buy an e-commerce platform. I don't have the technical know-how to do it on my own. This is a great, like, just get started,
Mm-hmm.
put up a Google form. It won't be perfect. And then as you start to get revenue in the business and you start to service customers, that can then lead to something else.
Exactly. So we still want to do the project of, we want an e-commerce platform, and it doesn't have to be something very complicated, because the more customers we have, because now, like right now, we have subscription customers coming in through Ecwid. So Ecwid holds our subscriptions.
Okay. And what's it called?
Ecwid, ECWID.
EC.
It's an e-commerce platform.
Okay.
Basically, the reason I chose it is because it could link to Stripe, and Stripe lets us set up recurring payments.
Okay. No, I wanted you to reiterate it for those that are listening that would be interested in learning more about it. So Ecwid and then Stripe is the payment processor.
Yes. And so, but then our one-time orders where you're just coming in like, hey, I just need this one time.
Yep.
That's on the Google form. And then there's another Google form for our B2B customers. So I would love to have one
big Google form.
one platform that just has everybody in one thing. So I'm not going back and forth between managing 3 different platforms, managing like 3 different ways that orders are coming in. So there's definitely more work on the back end that I would love to get out of there. But we just hired an operations manager, and his first project is like, find us the resources to build this platform. Get us out of where we are, because we're still doing manual invoicing. We're still doing like manual transcription of orders. And even though it's easier just to write $20 box, $5 box, whatever it is they've ordered, rather than like 2 pounds of onions, 3 pounds of grapes, 2.5 pounds of green beans. Like, it's doing those a la carte orders was a lot harder for transcription, but like doing a box is like, it's 2 things. It's easier to do.
How have you, by shifting to this e-commerce, it's an e-commerce platform.
It's an e-commerce platform.
How has it impacted revenue? Because like you said, you're making more money. Obviously you don't have to share exact numbers, but I'm just curious, because I think that, e-commerce is becoming more popular and more people talking about it. But for you, how significantly did it impact your revenue?
So for me, the delivery aspect, like initially it was like a 3x growth the first month. Then it grew another 3x on top of that. Wow. So we had like 9x growth in a 2-month period simply by pivoting to online and delivery. Like, we were a 5-figure business in 2019 and we'll be a 6-figure business in 2020.
And see, and that's what and why I wanted to have you on as a guest, is that that's what I'm trying to create within this community setting of helping people understand, like, when you do the pivot right, and when you take and it's tough because COVID is not easy to talk about. It's a very serious thing, but as a business owner, you also have to think about
It was an opportunity.
What is the opportunity in this dysfunction, or I should say disruption, not dysfunction. Well, you could say, you could argue that
it was all of it.
It's dysfunction, disruption. When people are distracted, where's the opportunity? And like, you are a prime example of somebody that said, here's the opportunity, and can demonstrate like how it literally changed your business and transformed your business.
The thing is that we had some of this stuff set up beforehand. It was just very underutilized. It wasn't a huge part of what we did. It wasn't our focus. I thought delivery was going to be maybe 10 to 15% of our business, once we had the brick and mortar. I didn't realize how big it could be, or that it could even drive us faster towards the brick and mortar. I didn't realize that decisions we made, like, oh, we deliver in city of Chicago. And I did that a long time ago because I just had friends everywhere. And I'm like, I'll go, as long as you're in Chicago, I'll go deliver to you because I just want to get rid of this inventory.
Right.
What I didn't realize is that making that part of our delivery area helps us evaluate and seed potential future brick and mortar in other neighborhoods.
So we're coming up to the last 10 minutes of our time with folks. So two questions to end on with you. First and foremost, for those that are considering, adding e-commerce to the business, whether they be, I don't know, a hairstylist, maybe, a retailer, what suggestions would you give them to get started? If somebody that says like, look, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't really have a lot of funds to like go build some really robust system, what would you suggest?
Simplify your offerings.
Okay.
Make it really simple. I think e-commerce got easier for us when we simplified our offerings.
Love that.
I think sometimes we are like, we have to give everybody everything. No, you don't.
Love it.
That doesn't have to be the platform to give everybody everything. Use free tools as much as you can, or low cost tools. Like I mentioned, Equid, it's pretty low cost.
Okay.
If
Google
you're just
Forms.
taking orders, Google Forms worked.
Yep.
If you have some type of invoice, if you're able to have some type of invoicing on the back end, that really helps. If you can find find a payment processor. If you're using a program like a platform like Equid, you can take online payments.
Okay.
But you just need to like be linked in with like either PayPal or Stripe or Square, some type of payment acceptance platform.
Okay.
And that's really all you need. And then I would say my biggest thing is that it's not if you build it, they will come. I do think that there's like a critical point in social media where you're doing a lot of the work to talk to people, to get followers. And then for us, once we reached 1,000 followers, it was like this tipping point of they started doing the work for us.
Interesting.
So
you saw a tipping point around 1,000 followers.
Yeah. So when we got to, by about April, if you look at our Instagram, we pretty much stopped posting. We stopped doing new posts because every time we posted, we would get more customers, and we were like, we have more than we can handle.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need more.
A good problem to have.
It was a good problem to have. But what was happening is that our customers were posting their stuff. They'd be like, I just got this great order from 40 Acres Fresh Market. So all we really have to do is just share what they already did. That means our general manager who runs our social media, she's not spending time thinking of content. She's not making content. She just took from our customers and
just repurposed it.
And just repurposed it. Exactly. Yeah. Just put it on our story. And that's really it. And then we were getting their friends who were looking at their story, who were then looking at our story, looking at their story. Like it became this really good positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a, like I said, there's a tipping point where if you get enough social media followers, they can often do your job for you.
Love it. And so first of all, I want to, as we kind of close out our conversation, I want to thank you for taking the time. I learned a ton. It's always good to talk to you. And plus we needed to catch up anyway, because I wanted to see what was going on with 40 Acres and all that kind of stuff. For those that are interested in getting in contact with you, what is the best way to find you online, to follow you, maybe even order some groceries?
Okay, so the best way to order groceries is to go to 40acresfreshmarket.com. There's a little tab that says delivery, and then that'll take you to the beautiful Google form.
That you now know is a Google form.
It is a Google form. But we deliver within the city of Chicago, as well as the western I-290 suburbs, all the way out to Westchester. Okay. So if you are past Westchester, no, we do not deliver to you.
Okay.
It is 40, that's the word 40, F-O-R-T-Y, acresfreshmarket.com. That's our website. Okay. You can follow us on Instagram at 40 acres. You can follow us on Facebook at 40 acres. If you want to email us, it's info@40acresfreshmarket.com. Cool. I personally don't keep a lot of like stuff on my personal social media that's not like super personal, so you don't want to follow me. I'm not talking about business. So if you want to know more about like how we operate, or you just kind of want to reach out to me, info, and then just ask for Liz. Yeah, that's pretty much the best.
And what we'll do is for the folks that signed up, we'll repost the recording, and then we'll make sure we put all your information in there as well, so that people can reach out to you and follow you as such.
That's awesome.
Well, again, thank you. I'm going to close out with a couple more notes about the community, and we don't have questions. Our conversation went really well. So we don't have time for Q&A for this particular one. But if people ask and demand for it, and they want you to come back, then I'm going to stalk you and have you come back on.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't say no to you.
All right. So I'm going to share the rest of the presentation with folks. Liz, thank you again for coming on. We appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, Liz. Appreciate it. So we'll close out here really quick. I know folks want to get on with their evening. I want to be respectful of the fact that we have about 4 minutes. I think I can get this done in 4 minutes. So closing out before we close out for the evening, again, wanted to thank Liz and her team over at 40 Acres Fresh. Love the story. I thought there was a lot of learnings around, her approach to e-commerce was not this overarching, like huge, big thing of like, I got to buy this platform. It literally was like, let's throw this stuff together and give folks a way to order their fresh produce. And it's like almost 10x her business. So it works. So a couple reasons why you should go in community, going back to what we talked about earlier. That it is a community. It's easier to achieve big things together. This is not about, again, being a repository of information. Unlike social media where you can talk back and forth, this is completely different. And I took the time to really dive into how to design a community because I wanted the interactivity and engagement, and it's core to what this community is versus just being a place like a Facebook group where we all kind of like talk randomly. There's what I called structured doing. We have a structured approach to the way that we do things so that we're all kind of working together. The benefits are a couple different things. You can come in and out as you please. Everything is available and on demand. So if you feel like you missed a month, that's totally fine. You don't have to do them in sequential order. We also are open. So if you give us feedback of what we need or something that's not working, we can adjust. While we have structure and we kind of have a path to how we're going to get there, again, the community shapes the content, and we will adjust as we all see fit and modify what we're doing. Templates and tools, again, I'm not just going to show you how to do it. We're not just going to talk about how to do it. We're actually going to give you the tools and resources because I believe starting from scratch sucks. And there's so many tools and resources out there that, we want you to be able to start from a good baseline versus trying to do all this stuff yourself. And again, I encourage those within the community that have access to tools, resources that they're open with sharing. You have the ability to share all of those, and I encourage you to do so because this is a private community. It's all about sharing and helping us all get better. expert insights. Just like Liz, we'll be having other guests come in that are subject matter experts. We'll be doing live Q&A. We'll be doing masterminds. We also have some interviews that we'll be doing that are based on subject matters that we're covering. I have a couple interviews of folks already that I'm really excited about. One on branding, one on creating videos. That's really amazing. Another one on how to be a speaker to support your business, and another one that we just did on how to create a book, how to write a book and become an author to support your business. So a ton of great content coming. So it's not just us, but I'm actually tapping people that have subject matter expertise that I think would be valuable to us, and then pulling them in the community to help them think through things. And then last but not least, live events like this. So I'll be doing kind of monthly Q&As where we tend to do a mastermind, a roundtable, and then I'll also be trying to do some live events with other subject matter experts. So again, we can get that connectivity, Q&A, ask questions, all that good stuff. So what's really exciting for those that have chose to join us this evening for their live event is that we're actually offering a special discount to those members, those folks that want to become members this week. So our standard membership is $49.99 per month, or you can do an annual membership, which is $499.99 per year, which is a 17% savings, completely up to you. We feel like this, we want to make sure that we are attracting the right people that are serious. One of the biggest things for me is, as I started to build out this community and thought about this, is I wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of looky-loos and people that were just coming in and taking. We really want to grow methodically. We really want to grow slowly. And one of the things I'm going to do is rely on folks like you that become members to who else do we need to get in the community. We're not going to do really aggressive, really crazy marketing so that everybody gets in. We want the right people in. We want people that not only can get value, but can also add value. So we do look at it as an investment. But with that said, it's a no risk, no commitment guarantee. If after a month you feel like this is not the right place for you, by no means do we want you to have to feel like you have to stay in the community. We only want people that are getting value, that feel like this is a fit for them, and are also contributing in a meaningful way. So again, standard membership is $49.99 per month or $499.99 per year. For those that are on the call, you are getting a special opportunity to get a membership at a 50% discount at $24.99 per month or $249.99. This will only be available to those that are either registered and are on the call live. This is not open to the general public, and it will remain open for a week. So you can take advantage of that because, again, we want, especially in the beginning, to get the right folks in the community. And then what we'll do is we'll rely heavily on you to say, hey, Jeff, there's 4 or 5 other people that I think would be awesome for this. I'm going to reach out to them personally and have them come and join us because they're doing good work. They're folks like Liz that, get it and are, really thinking through and being smart business owners. So I'm excited to offer this discount to those that are on the call. So obviously if you have any questions or you want to talk through and get more details to see if this is right for you, feel free to send me an email. And I'll help make all that information available if you don't have it already. But I'm more than happy to talk to you to make sure that it's the right fit for you. And then last but not least, because I know we're a little bit over time, next steps. So for you, if you feel that Rethink Small Business, if you think this community is the right fit for you, you can redeem your membership discount at bit.ly/rethinkmember50. I'll also be sending this via the email and recording and everything. So if you don't remember that, don't worry, it'll be in an email. That's completely fine. But that will give you your 50% discount to the community, and you will have that for a lifetime. So you will be locked in, you'll be grandfathered in. So if the prices of the community ever go up, you don't have to worry about that. So it's a really great opportunity, not only to get something discount now, but to also get something in the future and invest in really transforming your business and going on this journey with us in order to really digitally transform the way that we do our business. After that, you'll be led inside the community. We ask that you complete your member profile and introduce yourself to the community, say hi, reach out to people, engage, ask questions, whatever you want to do. But just let us know who you are and what you're looking to get out of the community. And last but not least, check out our welcome article inside the community to get started. So we are super excited to have you. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us live. And you all have a great night. Thanks so much. Be sure to visit us at rethinksmallbiz.com for more information. And then again, don't forget to hit bit.ly/rethinkmember50 for your special discount. Hope you all have a great evening or day or whatever time it is where you are. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night.